All right, so this is my review of SH Figuarts trunks, and yeah, review's a little late, but I wasn't really in a rush to get them. But let's get right into it, and I'm definitely gonna start doing my reviews in a bit of a more organized way. So I'm gonna be kind of piloting my rating system with this video, and basically I'm gonna divide it down into his aesthetics, what he looks like, how clean the paint is overall, things like that, articulation, accessories, and overall value. And I put more weight to aesthetics and articulation, and you'll kind of see that towards the end in terms of just how I rate the figure. So let's talk about his aesthetics first and foremost. And I'd say he definitely looks good just at a first glance. And, you know, immediately when you look at his face, all the lines are very clean. Can't really complain about that. Um, Very clean lines on the face, especially the new kind of like the way they paint the hair on the Super Saiyans looks really nice. And very nice shading too. So it's better than just like a flat kind of mustard yellow. It looks more accurate to the show, especially when he's fighting Frieza. Looks like the plastic itself is just colored, which I'm okay with, and I like that. So no risk of paint chipping, anything like that. Looks like they got decals on his jacket, extremely clean. Looks nice. All the buttons, everything painted in. Sheath, very well painted. Again, all the buttons are very clean. No real bleeding. Some little blemishes here and there. I don't know if you can see that, but not a big deal. Um, Nice matte finish throughout. Some places here and there where you see like a bit of gloss kind of contrasts a little awkwardly with the matte, but again, I really don't care. That's if you're really looking at it very hard. And even the sheath, really nice satin finish on the metal parts. That looks really nice. One part that kind of bugged me was his jacket. And do you see that? How it's just kind of like, that looks ugly, the way they did that back part. I wish they didn't do that. And in terms of Figuarts' kind of use of this new soft, ultra flexible plastic, I'm all for that, especially on figures like Sasuke and things like that. But I don't think it's so useful on trunks. Like, I'm not sure why they went with a soft piece here. You could argue that it helps with articulation, but you could have done the same with hard plastic too. And I personally don't care about the little segmented pieces that they use on older figures. It's just going to last longer. And in my opinion, it looks fine also. But this, and this is how it came. It already looks like it looks like it's kind of like tearing or something. So not a big fan of that, especially this back piece here. And actually, let me just take them apart for a quick second. And just cut his arm off. So you can see that more clearly. That doesn't look so good. Not a fan of that. And that's just how it comes. It already looks like there's like some stress on it. If you articulate your figures a lot, that might be a bit of a problem. So be aware of that. Not the best. So this piece does not look that good. That little white stress mark there, it just came out of the box like that, and it's just going to get worse. Okay, so overall in terms of aesthetics, I will give them a 4.5 because even looking past that, this is probably one of their best Figuarts to date. It looks like it came right out of the show. So I'm going to leave him like this for a second because I'm going to get into the next part, his articulation and engineering. So yeah, aesthetics definitely gets a 4.5 out of 5. He really does look amazing. Looks exactly like future Trunks. And let's just go right into articulation. So we just put them together for a quick bit, and I'll show you kind of. All right, let's just get right into articulation. I'll talk about how he disassembles in a minute. Some issues here and there, but articulation, starting with the head, it is on a double ball peg. Works pretty well. Just given the shape of his head and how bulky it is, not a whole lot of back movement. Can't really do much there. He does look down pretty well. And one quick thing I'll mention, just in terms of aesthetics, that little gap in his neck, that looks pretty bad. Like, that should have been more flush. So if you wanted to look up, you see that kind of like void in there. One last thing with the aesthetics, his hair doesn't sit flush there. And Figuarts seems to always have little issues with the face plates, but again, not a huge deal breaker for me, but it's something you should be aware of. Okay, now back to articulation. So you can look up, down that much, looks up, side to side. You could tilt well enough. Ab crunch, you can go down very well. That's very impressive. You could go back extremely well. And that's all on a double ball peg, so upper and lower diaphragm. Arms go up all the way, very impressive. And you'll see in a second underneath the jacket what's kind of going on in there. So very interesting system, and it gives them a lot of articulation. So this is like a butterfly joint to the extreme. Like, that's just, and it's kind of a must for this figure because you just look at some of the poses he does when he fights Frieza. Definitely a must, and you'll see that in the gallery at the end of this video. But yeah, arms on a very nice double ball peg, and you'll see in a second what that looks like. And actually, on that subject, I will say his shoulder joints, just like Figuarts seems to always have an issue with, were pretty tight. Now, in fairness, nowhere near as bad as Imperfect Cell. Not even close. Perfectly functional, but just a little too tight and could cause some annoyances. That's something to be aware of. Just me, because I prefer my figures a little bit smoother. I did carve out the ball joints, the sockets, with a little X-Acto knife. You don't need to do that. And you just saw this arm come off. Yeah, that is an issue that you probably heard people kind of complain about. Be aware of that. This does come off a little bit easier than most people would like. And what they should have done is they should have made that kind of recess a little bit deeper, make that peg a little bit longer also, but not a huge deal. Definitely something that's a little finicky and annoying. Now, what is pretty annoying, look at his leg. You see the wiggle on that? Now, it might seem surprising, but it actually doesn't affect his articulation. It's just, it feels kind of cheap. Like a $70 figure should not be wiggling all over the place like that. But now watch, when I say it doesn't affect his articulation, his leg still just stays up. So kicks up and doesn't come back down. So it's just like a little, like, in terms of QC, it's a minor thing, but look, he's still stable, which is why he's still perfectly functional. In terms of his ankles, and yeah, so his legs, you just saw his legs kick out completely. They go up, no problem. There's a little drop down in there too. Don't pull too hard on it, barely anything, so be aware of that. Knees bend about that much. Just give him the sculpt of the pants. That's as far as he's going to go. Be careful with the knees. They do pop out, but you can just put them back in. Ankles are just on a regular kind of swivel there, and definitely has a good amount of rocker built in. Toe joint also, just typical Figuarts stuff. I will say I wish he could get a little bit more forward movement on the ankle, but it is what it is. And that's pretty much it. In terms of articulation, he does everything you'd expect him to. His legs don't go back just because of that kind of butt sculpt there. That's not really a huge issue for me. I never really see myself needing to do that, but just so you're aware, yeah, it is a little restricted in that regard. Wrists are just on regular ball joints, small ones, so you barely get any movement out of it. Now, in terms of just his joints, tightness throughout is pretty good. And what I really like is the wrists are extremely easy to just take out. It doesn't feel like they're going to break. So I think Figuarts has been listening, because this guy disassembles with just the right amount of force. And that's really good when you're kind of playing around with a $70, $80 figure. You're not worried about breaking him. So that's good. And just look at my cell review, where I was just kind of, it's not really a review, it's just more just me complaining. That's not the case. He felt like he was going to break until I shaved down his joints a bit. Not so this guy. So his head comes off easy. And see, I can even just do it comfortably on this review because it's that easy to just take on and off. That's how it should be. That's how Figuarts always was in the past. And I'm glad this figure is back to that. And I'm also happy that the Frieza second form is the same deal. So I always prefer slightly loose joints over tight joints, because tight joints cause breakages and they're harder to play with, just in terms of posing. Now, in terms of articulation, I'll give him, originally I was going to be a little bit more critical, but I think he deserves probably a 4. Like, he does everything I need him to. No huge issues other than the tightness thing, but you can live with that. Again, I play with my figures a lot before I release a review, so he's safe, like in my experience. Now, you'll see a lot of complaints about him online, probably warranted, and he might have had kind of severe issues in the beginning, but I'm speaking from my copy here, and if I had to guess, it looks like the factory might have just ironed out some of those issues, so be aware of that. If you're going to get him, I suggest you buy him brand new. Don't get him on like eBay or places like that. So last I checked, he's still in stock on places like Big Bad. He's all over the place, but hurry up and get him, because if you like trunks, you definitely don't want to miss this one. Okay, so articulation gets a 4. He does everything you need him to. No complaints here. Let's talk about accessories, and we'll start with the obvious. Sword. Now, just so you're aware, this kind of belt attachment, it doesn't come like this. I actually super glued this, because this is probably the most annoying aspect of this figure, and you can even look online. It's a pain to deal with this, just pegging those in. My personal recommendation is that you super glue these, just so you avoid breaking or fraying this plastic, because it doesn't feel especially strong, but if you keep picking at it and nudging at it while you're playing around with it, yeah, it will definitely get damaged. So I would suggest you super glue this in place, and let me show you the easiest way, from my experience, to put this sheath on him without breaking anything. So they do have their own instructions on the box, but from my experience, this works a little bit better. Just I unpeg the waist like this. I just slide the sheath with the sword on like that. And let me just leave him there for a second. You will have to take his arm off, which isn't a huge deal. because again, he comes apart easily. Be careful, test your figure before you try this. And then I just put him back together like this, and have the belt slide under the left side of his jacket and over the right side. And see, good luck with this if you didn't super glue it, because this belt attachment always unpegs. Let me just kind of get this adjusted. And you will have to finagle with this a little bit, but it works. See, that's it. It's on. And trust me when I say this process, what I just did is about 20 times harder if this wasn't super glued in place. So that's up to you. Do it at your own risk. If you're feeling uneasy with super glue, just take a look at my video on how to use super glue safely. And just put this back in. Did that go in? There you go. Good. And that's it. He's ready. So, and on to the actual review. So yeah, the accessories. Yeah, sheath looks great, like I mentioned before. Sword is really cool. And see, I wish Figuarts has a stupid habit, like with Deadpool and some other characters. They don't actually have a functional sheath like this. It's just like two alternate pieces that looks like a broken off hilt that just kind of sticks out a little bit, but there's no actual sheath. There's like two separate accessories with a sheath, and it's just stupid. Like, this is an actual functional sheath, and it looks great. So Figuarts, you obviously know what you're doing. Don't be lazy and cheap. Put sheaths like this on all your characters, not just the Dragon Ball ones. In terms of other accessories, comes with the regular Saiyan head. Looks phenomenal, very sharp paint, or decals, whatever that is, and the hair looks great, so that's good. Comes with an alternate set of bangs. Not really sure what that's for, but you do get it. And in terms of hands, he comes with a bunch. He comes with two burning strike hands, so you get that, obviously. He comes with two hands that look like blast hands, and same, they go great when he's doing all those crazy hand movements with a burning strike. Need those. Does come with two sword holding hands. Those look nice. Comes with open blast hands. And he does come with several different faceplates. And these are for the Super Saiyan, looks like. Yeah, these are all just alternates of Super Saiyan head. All look very clean, which is what you'd expect from Figuarts. But yeah, so a lot of faceplates there. And yeah, he does come with two fist hands also, obviously. It's obligatory, and he has one of them on already. Okay, so accessories, get a 5 out of 5. And aside from the sheath issue, yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah, 5 out of 5 is fair. That sheath is still very nice. Just super glued and you're good. It should be perfect. And just in terms of overall value, I'll give him a 4, definitely. Just little things could be ironed out a little bit better, like the tightness of the joints. That was a little annoying for me. If you could look past that, great. But yeah, I definitely say he gets a 4 in terms of value. Because he's around $70, so I do expect a little bit better quality control of the joints, but I will say I'm very happy, and I'm surprised because he got so much negative press, and you know, that's nothing against people who reviewed him. I think I might have just lucked out, so be aware of that, because there is a lot of controversy with this one, but I got this recently, and he's pretty good. And I actually got it from Mercari, which is a big risk, because you know, people just, that's just the nature of sites like eBay and Mercari, but find a good seller. I got mine brand new, he was sealed, everything, and I think I might have lucked out with a newer release of him. So I'd definitely recommend him. If you like Trunks, it's pretty much a must. You won't even be watching this review. And yeah, overall, he's a great figure. So just to finish off, and I will put my rating at the end. I use kind of like a weighted average, just with more emphasis on articulation, engineering, and aesthetics. So next to Imperfect Cell. Imperfect Cell is just way too short. He should be like 8 feet tall or something. So that's just absurd. Like Future Trunks is downright puny next to Imperfect Cell. So that looks pretty stupid, but that's Tamashi screwing up with him. Like, he's downright tiny. He should be like up here, literally. That's not even exaggerated. My hand's not even in the, he should be like towering over Future Trunks. Next to Vegeta, he's pretty much spot on. Trunks is like 5'7", Vegeta's like 5'5". That looks about right to me. And just next to an older Trunks figure, looks about exactly the same height. Just, that's discounting the Super Saiyan here. And yeah, so, and finally, just for fun, next to a neck Scar Predator. yeah, 8-inch tall. So there you have it. Overall, in my opinion, a solid figure, which was a shock. I was expecting a nightmare, something to really complain about, but overall just a little finicky, and definitely feels like a safe, very playable figure. All right, so in terms of an overall rating, I use a weighted average system, which you can see here. 30% weight for aesthetics, 40% for articulation. So like I said, I do put more emphasis on those accessories, and value 15% each. So with aesthetics, I gave him a 4.5. That gives him 1.35 quality points, let's call it. For articulation, overall engineering, I gave him 4 stars. Remember, this is just out of 5 stars in each category with a 40% weight, 1.6 points there. For accessories, 5 stars. Can't go wrong with what they gave. They gave a lot of face plates, accessories in terms of sword, alternate hands. So 5 stars there. For total 0.75 quality points, value 4 out of 5. He's pretty expensive, but everything on him works in my opinion. So gets 4 stars. Just knocked one off because of little finicky issues like tight shoulders and the sheath. Requires a little bit of finagling. So 1 star off there, but 0.6 quality points there. And if you add all that up for a total rating out of 5, 4.3 out of 5 stars. So that's my rating. And yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more.